somewhere in Ohio, Sports Rock Show.
Sprock.
To the right of me is Chris.
Sup?
To the left of me is Doug.
Hello, hello, hello.
And I am Jim. How are we all doing this evening? Big news today for us Cleveland Brownies fans. Let's hope it leads to great things. Right off the bat, we're going to start with Major League Baseball, though. First topic, another Ohio team bites the dust when they have a big lead, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. Dropped 3 straight at home to lose the series. Chris, what's your take on this?
Well, I'd love to tell you I'm shocked, but I'm not. Because it seems like every team I root for, even if it's not a Cleveland team, seems to disappoint me, especially lately, although the Browns got a big win yesterday. It's inexcusable to come home up 2-0 and drop 3 games in a row. That is just, you deserve to lose when that happens. And you got to give credit to the Giants. I mean, they went out there and they played fairly well, especially being down 2-0. It would have been easy for them to just give up and quit, and they didn't. They kept fighting. They wound up pulling it out. So, as much as I'm not a Giants fan, and I'm not, got to give them some credit for that. The Reds, they've got a lot of talent on that team. Potentially, the NL MVP with Votto, but they just couldn't hold it together.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that. Doug, what's your take on that?
Well, I would call Cincinnati the typical Ohio choke job.
Amen, brother.
Whether it's football or baseball in Ohio, it seems like bad things happen. I agree with Chris that you play a best of 5, you win your first 2 on the road in San Francisco, and come back and you can't win 1 out of 3 at home at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. You don't deserve to move on. I don't care how good a record that the Reds had in the regular season. You can't get it done in playoff time. That separates the men from the boys. San Francisco, their pitching holds up well. So I would, am I surprised? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, when you're up 2-0, yeah, I would have never thought Cincinnati would lose 3 straight at home. But hats off to the Giants, but they're going to run into the Cardinals, and that stands right now 1-1. But boy, the Cardinals are one tough cookie to crack.
With me, I thought the Reds had a legitimate shot at winning it all, and as both of you said, it's an Ohio team, not shocked totally, but in a way, because you got 2 games, all you got to do is win 1 out of 3. That sounds a whole lot like what happened to the Cleveland Indians when they were in the World Series, although Cincinnati wasn't in the World Series, but it's very disappointing for Reds fans, and they will rename that from Great American Park to Choke City. Let's go on to the...
It's no longer the Queen City, it's now Choke City in Cincinnati. Don't choke on that Cincinnati chili.
Go on to another series that's going on right now. The New York Yankees and the Detroit Tigers, and right now the New York Yankees are suffering major problems. Yay, love it, great. Detroit has the lead in that series 2-0, and they go tonight. And Verlander is pitching for Detroit. He's one major tough man. Doug, your take on this one?
Well, the way the Yankees are swinging the bats, and it's just unbelievable. When Robbie Cano is 0 for 26 in the playoffs, that guy is a stud hitter. A-Rod, we pretty well documented on his choke job through most of his playoff career. But the Yankees, hitting-wise, they're benching A-Rod tonight, they're benching Swisher tonight, and those guys were big parts of their season, more or less. And Verlander, there's a tough cookie right there. The Yankees, there's no question the Yankees are in trouble. But I'm all for the Tigers. Well, first of all, fuck the Yankees. Let that be known right off the bat.
Amen.
So I'm all for the Tigers.
Well, not that I don't enjoy watching the Yankees completely and utterly implode in front of my eyes, because they do. And I also, I'm not a fan of Girardi. I think he's going to be probably looking for employment after this year. Even though it's not all his fault. The Yankees hitting has been terrible, but once again, a team that I'm rooting for is letting me down. I hate the Detroit Tigers more than I hate the New York Yankees. So I really haven't been rooting for anybody, but if I were to If it were up to me to pick a team to win this series, I'd pick the Yankees because I hate Detroit, but I do enjoy watching them suffer. And I tell you, Detroit has played very well. I'm not so sure they're not going to be World Series champs this year. So it doesn't really surprise me that Detroit's up 2-0. We'll see where it goes from here.
Next up, we go to the National League. We got the Cardinals against the Giants, and that series is tied at 1-1. And you got two really good, tough teams here playing against each other. So, and I believe the next game will be tomorrow evening for them. We'll see how this goes with this series.
Actually, no. The next game is tomorrow at 4:00. You will see Kane versus Loesch.
Oh goodness!
So, and tonight actually is Game 3 of that Yankees Tigers matchup. You're going to see Hughes and Verlander.
Yes.
So Tigers could be up 3-0 pretty quick.
They most definitely could.
So,
Chris, what's your take on the Cardinal San Francisco series?
Well, I want to know what kind of deal the St. Louis Cardinals made with the devil. Because I tell you what, this team, the Cardinals, I've never seen a team struggle and then just come on in the clutch like the Cardinals have. It's quite impressive, to be honest. And if I had to choose a team of the four that are playing now between the Yankees, the Tigers, the Cardinals, and the Giants, I'd choose the Cardinals to root for. And I think they're going to beat the Giants, even though the Giants kind of put it to them. I believe it was last night. I think they're going to wind up winning this series. And I think the Tigers and the Cardinals could be a very good World Series.
Well, Cardinals-Tigers would be shades of, I believe, '68 when they faced each other in the World Series. The Cardinals are that's a tough ball club. They're mentally tough. They don't give away at bats.
And this is after
they're
losing.
the best hitting team in the National League.
And that's after losing one of the best hitter, the best hitter in the league, arguably.
Yeah.
It's incredible, to be honest.
Even without Albert Pujols, they were the best hitting team in the National League, and they battle you to the last out. I mean, they were in trouble against the Nationals in the division series, down to their last at bat. Came through, down by 2 in the ninth, win by 2 in the end. Then go in and win the first game against San Francisco, lose last night. But the Cardinals, they're the defending champions, so I'm not counting them out. That's for sure.
Well, the team I thought might have a shot at being there was the Reds. But once again, you cannot. Anytime you have a defending champion, especially when they keep their team intact and actually add to it, they're always going to be competitive. And I'm telling you what, the Cardinals will not rule them out of any of this. But I do think this could be a full 7-game series. Cardinals coming out on top possibly, but I can definitely see this going to be back and forth the whole entire time.
I think a big key for the Giants is going to be how Lincecum pitches. If he can return to the greatness he had last year.
They've been using him out of the bullpen.
Yeah, but they're going to start him, I believe, Game 4.
Yes, I did hear that. Game 4 he will start.
I think that could be a very big
well, if
deciding factor.
They can pull out the game tonight, and that's with
tomorrow night.
Or tomorrow night, and that's with Matt
tomorrow
Cain.
Afternoon, yes.
Tomorrow afternoon with Matt Cain. They can win that game. They'd be up 2-1. If Lincecum pitches like he can,
yes,
then I'd say the Cardinals might be in trouble. But if Lincecum struggles like he has this year, I mean, hell, who would think that going into the playoffs this year, looking at from last year's point, that Tim Lincecum would be in the bullpen
right
for the Giants? You think you're crazy,
right?
There is no way Tim Lincecum is coming out of the bullpen. I don't care how good the Giants. I mean, he's an all-star pitcher. He's a Cy Young winner. But if he struggles, coming back and pitching in Game 4. But I mean, the Reds beat Matt Cain. St. Louis, I don't care who they're facing. They're tough.
They come to play, and they're going to give everything they have every game they play. Absolutely.
They're top 1 through 9. They're tough outs. I mean, they put the ball in play, and those guys, like David Freese and Alan Craig, those guys, I mean, they've been there before. They were just there last year. Big hits. They get big hits. Yes, 2-out hits.
Clutch. Hugely
Absolutely.
clutch.
That's a good word to use for the Cardinals.
That's what I'm saying. I want to know what kind of deal they made with the devil, because
Well, apparently one that
It's
the Indians,
incredible.
the Browns, and the Cavaliers have not yet made.
Nor the Reds.
Or the Reds.
Nor the Reds.
Okay, so we're going to move on from this. Free agency in baseball. We're going to go on that a little bit here, and well, we're going to discuss we'll discuss some of the free agents that are available, but we're going to discuss who we think would be good fits for the Cleveland Indians.
All of them.
Well, basically, probably the majority that we could get would, yes. The key thing is that with us on this one, though, it's on Mr. Dolan's hands and on his head. And right now, I think the man has no conscience. But
I think he does. He just only cares about money.
well, if he cared that much about money, I think he'd be wanting to fill his stands up instead of seeing just a few thousand people at games instead of selling them out like Mr. Jacobs did back whenever we had great teams as Cleveland Indians. Now we're going to discuss who would be great fits as free agents for the Cleveland Indians. We'll let Doug lead us off on this. He can give us his opinion on some of them out there and what he thinks.
Well, I think there's obviously when you're looking at a baseball team that's lost 90 games through the last 4 years. Obviously, there's a lot of names that look attractive on the list. Seeing as the money will probably be the budget will be tight more than likely, though I would cut Hernandez, Hafner, Sizemore, Jimenez.
Not resign those guys.
Yeah, and Kochman, you're looking at probably about $30 million in savings. Now, if you take that $30 million and you invest that back in the ball club, I see there's Adam LaRoche, which certainly we could use a first baseman. I don't like the fact that he's a left-handed hitter, but he certainly put up some nice power numbers. And if we were getting somebody like that, then we needed some right-handed bats. Delman Young is a guy that we should have had last year when he was on waivers. That we let the Tigers pick up for some ungodly reason. He could be a nice fill. Along with, I don't mind B.J. Upton. I think trades are probably where the Indians are probably going to have to make most of their hay. Looking at the starting pitching, I do think Edwin Jackson, Joe Saunders, Anibal Sanchez, those guys are certainly viable options that the Indians can look at. Kyle Loesch maybe a little bit on the upper end of what they want to spend.
Is there anybody you think that is going to take your Baldo off Cleveland's hands?
No.
Not for a prospect, not for any.
The Rockies laughed all the way to the bank when they got rid of him.
Yeah,
I mean, who's going to take somebody off their hands that makes $6 million and lost the most games in the American League last year?
But if he's able to go somewhere,
and left on a 1-year deal.
But if he's able to go somewhere and turn things around, $6 million for a starting pitcher, dirt cheap.
It is. If you want to put up with that, I mean, if you want to look at it that way, why did Colorado give up on him? I mean, if he was that good a pitcher, making that cheap of money, why would Colorado even give him away?
Well, it goes right back to the fact that he's already signed for one more season, correct?
I think next year's would be his last year.
His last year. Well, then somebody.
I think Cleveland. I'm afraid Cleveland's going to keep him. They'll pick up the option because they'll think along Chris's lines of $6 million for a starting pitcher is cheap. When he pitches well, he pitches well. When he pitches bad, he's really bad. The problem is he's mostly bad more than he is good.
Do you think Francona can straighten him out?
Well, I think a lot will have to do with the pitching coach that he hires. And I don't know who that would be, but I think Ubaldo Jimenez is just a work in progress. And to me, I mean, you just watch his demeanor on the mound. It's just, I don't want to say he doesn't care, but he just doesn't look like he has any fire in his eyes that, I want to do well, I want to pitch better. It's just like, well, I pitch good, that's cool. I pitch bad, that's cool too.
Well, Francona's not going to be okay with that.
That's why I wouldn't even have him on the team.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, I mean, you had a manager the last 2 years that some would argue, some being his players, that he had no fire, he had no, he didn't motivate the team, he didn't Terry Francona's not going to be like that. He's going to get the most out of his players. So maybe Ubaldo can get
So you're saying keep him?
a boost. I think you almost have to be honest with you. I think you're too invested at this point.
I just.
I
disagree.
I disagree too. I think you can take that $6 million or whatever he's making, and if you have to bump it to a 7 or 8 to get an Edwin Jackson or a Joe Saunders even, then I'm making that deal. I think those guys are more consistent.
I don't disagree with that. But knowing the Cleveland Indians like we know the Cleveland Indians, that won't happen.
Well, you got 30.
So you keep him.
If you got 30 million, if you dump those other characters I mentioned before, and you've got 30 million to spend, then you can take that 30 million and add another. Say, let's add another 10 to it. 20 would be really nice, but say we added 10 to it and had 40 million to play with. You can sign 4 pretty good players at 10 million a year.
Right.
And whether that's an Adam LaRoche and 2 pitchers and another outfielder, because obviously they have to get an outfielder.
Yes.
Preferably one with a little bit of power. That's why I think eventually trades are going to have to be made. Chu's going to have to be dealt. Maybe Asdrubal Cabrera in order to bring in a solid right-handed hitting
Are
outfielder.
there any untouchables on this team? Not Kipnis, not Masterson, not Perez.
No, not in my book.
I
I'd say that, no. I would say they're not untouchable. Would I want to trade Jason Kipnis? No. Would I want to trade Masterson? Probably not. But hey, I'm not trading them for prospects. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And that's what Cleveland will do.
See, here's where we've had a big problem too. And Doug just hit on this. Anytime we've actually traded big players, we've basically gotten zilch back for them.
Well, no.
All right,
In the current Chris Antonetti, Mark Shapiro age, we have gotten 0 out of them. John Hart made some excellent trades.
John Hart is not pulling the trigger.
These clowns still are.
John Hart is not pulling the trigger now, my son, and
Very
that's
true.
whenever Dick Jacobs was owning the team, he had the right people in place to bring winners in there, and he would do what it took to make sure they were winners.
True.
I mean, when you look at the trades of Sabathia and Lee, those are 2 monster trades.
Yep.
And when you have, Brantley to show for the Sabathia trade, more or less,
You got
Laporta's done nothing, and Brantley
Brantley,
was lucky to come
Carrasco.
into that trade because if Milwaukee had not made the playoffs that year with CeCe, we wouldn't have got Brantley. We were going to get another player. So we were fortunate we even got that out of that trade.
Yes.
Then you look at the Lee trade, and we got Marson, who's a backup catcher at best. We got Carrasco, who could be a nice young pitcher. Blew his arm out last year, so he's a question mark now. We got, who else came in that trade? Jason Donald, who's a backup shortstop at best, backup utility infielder.
Nice AAA player.
Those are the kind of guys that we're getting. We're not getting anybody that's really being major contributors.
What do you do with Matt Laporta? What do you do with Lonnie Chisenhall?
Package him up in a trade. Chisenhall, I would probably lean towards being a third baseman next year.
I think he's got a good glove. I think he's got a good glove. I think the guy's solid as a third baseman.
My problem is he seems to be a little brittle.
Yeah.
That he does get hurt.
I agree.
But if you went into next year, if you wanted to put Santana, say he was going to be your catcher, first base is an open spot, second base would be Kipnis, shortstop as of now would be Cabrera, third base would be Chisenhall, left field's an open spot, center field would have Brantley, right field as of now would have Chu. Now you add B.J. Upton or a Michael Bourne or
I like Bourne a lot. Delman Young.
Well, Delman Young, he can play left field.
play left
He's probably
field.
a little better at DH than he is in an outfield, but
Well,
certainly he's a stick.
he's not. He can't be a downgrade over fucking Shelley Duncan. Come on now. Or Johnny Damon, who's short hop.
No, the days of trying to live with the DeLucci's and Michaels in left field, or the Aaron Cunninghams and the Shelley Duncans and Johnny Damons of the world in left field, they got to be over.
I agree.
They have to be over.
The only way
This team wants to be serious about putting the team on the
The
field.
only way you can live with having a guy like that in the line, guys like that in the lineup, is if 1 through 6 and 6 or 7 is flat out solid. Then you can handle having a couple weak bats. But when you've only got 2 or 3 bats in the lineup,
Well, and here,
Well, yeah,
last-
those guys.
the 2012 version of the Indians, once you got past probably 4, is a crapshoot.
oh, every game.
I mean, you look at the batting average, and it goes from, number 5 is 250, 6 is 217, 7 is 200, 8 and 9 are barely hitting 200 if they're hitting 200. Unless your pitching is out of this world,
which it wasn't.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win many games. You're going to lose 90 to 100 every year, and that's what they do.
All right, that'll do it for this segment of Sports Rock.
Sprock.
Join us next for some football talk.